Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
How are
How you
you?
doing?
Good. Sorry, I was at Star Wars Celebration, so my voice is
Oh
kind of
no. Oh
just
gosh.
gone.
I
Uh, but
love it.
but what I really loved about Citadel is just kind of like how instant we're kind of thrown into the action of this series. And so you, David, that first sequence when they're on the train
Yeah.
is so indicative of kind of like where the story is going to take us. It throws us right in. We know what's going on. How important was it for you to kind of get those characters so right off the gate so the audience is on board with whatever else is going?
Such a great question. It was so important. I think, and you said it so perfectly that, the first 15 minutes really is representative of the series as a whole. It's sort of packed into those 15 minutes. There's the humor, there's the romance, there's the seduction, there's the incredible action set piece. That was always sort of our ambition, to give the audience a taste of what's to come.
And Joe, so I understand your love of action because even though our states fight each other, I'm from Pittsburgh. So I
Right.
understand kind of like when you are from that weird part of the US that like nothing really happens, that's kind of like what you're drawn to because
Yes.
it's you're like, I want that action, I want that in my life. And so what was it about Citadel as a show that really attracted you and Anthony to want to like executive produce this and be a part of it?
Well, it was one of the more ambitious concepts we'd ever heard. It was pitched to us by Jen Salke, who runs Amazon Prime, and she had an
Mm-hmm.
idea where she said, "Look, I want to build a U.S. language show that then can, spin off into regional versions of the show, told by artists in those regions in their language. And can you come up with an idea that would work for people around the world to play in the same sandbox together?" One, I was like, that's an incredible idea because stories are one of the last things that still bind all of us together in a very divisive world. And two, she's championing diversity in an incredible way, in a way that very few people have, honestly, in this business. So we said hell yes, and got to work thinking about what kind of story would make the most sense, and we settled on the spy world as having being the most fertile ground for that kind of concept.
Yeah, and David, so like obviously you have this cast, which is already you have Priyanka, and then you're adding in Richard Madden and Stanley Tucci as like a little duo, which I'm obsessed with because
Good.
I'm Italian. You have to love Stanley Tucci; it's part of our blood. But
Totally.
like when you're writing that, and you kind of have like I do like how light the Stanley Tucci stuff becomes later in the series. But how do you marry like telling the story with writing for these powerhouses that is part of Citadel?
Well, it's such a great challenge, but it's such a great opportunity as well. Because as a writer, you have some of the greatest talent of their generation and who's out there. So you can do anything on the page. You can bring these characters to any depth or, any pole, and have them do something so difficult, challenging, have them be playing three different characters in the very same moment.
Mhm.
So it's just a joy. I mean, you rarely get an opportunity, I think, to write for such powerhouses, and this was one.
Yeah, and like Joe, so I'm a comedy nerd on top of being a superhero nerd and a nerd about everything else in this world. And so you kind of run the gambit on everything that you've had your hands in because you did Community, then you went into the Marvel world, now you're doing all these spy dramas. What do you love about projects that kind of just brings you into them and makes you want to tell them? Is it characters? Is it the story? What really drives
Yeah, I
you?
mean, it always starts with character. That's number one. And in this one, I thought the was one of the most interesting concepts I'd heard in a while is that, that they have their memories erased and they become new people and they build new lives. We're talking about years are invested in their new
Mm-hmm.
lives. And the question is, will the sins of the past come back to haunt them? That's really complicated characters to play, and those are really complicated uh, characters just in and of themselves, that in a way that I feel like you don't have that opportunity that often to explore heavier themes like that with characters in a genre show. So the other thing that attracts us is do I want to watch it? Do I
Mm-hmm.
want to make something that the younger version of myself would want to watch 10 times over. And that's really always our goal is, is this something I would watch? And so that's always been our metric, is whether it was Arrested Development or Community or the Marvel movies, what would I want to see? And then, build it around that core principle.
Thank you guys so much for talking with me today. I think Citadel is so much fun. I can't wait for audiences to get to see it. And I really appreciate you guys talking with me.
Thank you.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks.
Great
Have a great
questions.
one.